Okay, everybody, welcome back to the #1 TV show in the world. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown. All three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Ignored by Bentley Little, a horror novel that came out in 1997. Now, I do have all of the Bentley Little novels over here. We'll just show them to you right now. We've got an entire collection of Bentley Little stuff right down there. You can see they're all there. Anyway, probably got 20 to 25 of his books in my collection. And we're working our way slowly through them for the channel, reading them and reviewing them. This is probably the third or fourth book of his I've reviewed. So we'll eventually get to all of them in no particular order. The Ignored. Let's talk about the cover first. You know I love graphic design and cover illustration. I think this is cool. I like just the little carousel, and it's just got like an old classic horror novel vibe to it. It's just great. And it's got the shiny silver embossed typeface. I really enjoy this cover. It's just simple and elegant, but yet screams out horror novel. So what is The Ignored about? Well, it's about Bob Jones, the most forgettable, boring name you can ever have for a character, Bob Jones. But I think that's on purpose because we're talking about a character who is ignored. Not initially. I mean, he's got a girlfriend. He seems to be doing okay. There's nothing really wrong with his life, but he is looking for a job. So he applies for a job at a place called Automated Interface. The most boring name for a company, and I think that's on purpose too. He's got a worthless degree. He's went to college and got some worthless degree, some liberal arts degree, kind of like what I got. I got an art degree, folks. It's kind of what he's got. And so, it's hard for him to find a job of any kind. And so he goes into this Automated Interface, which is some sort of boring-ass computer programming place from the 90s. So it's even more boring, right? And he goes in and he has no idea anything about computers, and he thinks he's botched the interview, right? Because he can't answer any of the questions. He doesn't know any of the computer programs how to run them, or he's never even heard of them before. And he actually says that in the interview. He's like, I've never even heard of that. When they're asking him, do you know how to do this program? Do you know how to write the code for this program? He's like, I don't even own a computer, guys. And but anyway, so he's like, God, I bombed that interview. Well, turns out a couple days later, they call him and say, you got the job. And he's like, oh, well, I best, hey, great. I'll learn as I go, right? So he shows up at this workplace and they give him the job, and he's going about his workday, and then he starts to notice different things. It's like, people forget that he works there. Like, they're like, people that he knows he's introduced himself to are like, hey, who are you and what are you doing in here? And then other people, but then on the other hand, other people are like, hey, Bob, remember in the meeting where you said this, that, and the other? And Bob's like, I was never in that meeting. What are they talking about? So everything starts to just get weird. It's like people who he knows he's had very lengthy conversations with just can't remember the conversations, or even him. And then people come up to him and say that he's been in all these major important meetings, and he's not been in them. And so he's just like confused. And then eventually things start going bad with his relationship with his girlfriend, and she dumps him, and he starts to walk around in life just feeling like invisible, like nobody even notices me. I'm just being ignored, which most men, by the way, especially when you become middle-aged, you do just vanish. People just don't notice you. You can be, people just, you don't exist. The pretty girls don't look at you. They don't notice you. they can't even see you, it seems like. It's just, I mean, if you're a middle-aged man, you know what I'm talking about. You are just another piece of furniture. You're just another brick in the wall, people. So he's starting to realize this, but it's kind of like it's like extra with him. It's like extra with him. There's just different, more confusing things. And the book is written in such a way where it's told from his perspective. It's a first-person book told from Bob Jones' perspective. I'm not really, I mean, he's kind of personality less, like, you know, usually when you do a first-person narrative, the person that's telling you the story has to have a real engaging voice and real engaging. And I think Bentley Little dialed down his personality to absolute zero on purpose because he's just dull as. But I think that's on purpose. But anyway, what happens is there's this dude shows up named Felipe, and Felipe sort of is like, hey, you're one of the ignored, and yada yada yada, this, that, and the other, make a deal with the devil, and now suddenly we can seek revenge on everybody who's ignored you. That's kind of the plot of this. And then it spirals into a vengeance sort of, I mean, it becomes into a revenge plot at that point where, you know, 1997, way before like the Columbine shootings, before any of this stuff was going on. So I don't know if you could really get away with writing a book that's thematically like this. This is kind of like the incel gone rogue in an evil way type of book. And I don't know if people would appreciate that nowadays, but I mean, it's all right. It's kind of Dean Koontz-esque in its in the way that it's told. It really reminded me of a Dean Koontz book, to be honest with you. I can't remember which Dean Koontz book it reminded me of, but it did. Anyway, of the 4 books so far that I've read of Bentley Little's that I've reviewed, I think this one is probably not the one that I would like. I think I like the other 3 a little better. And I think it's because of that first person narrative where there's no wit or charm to this guy, Bob Jones, at all. I mean, he deserves to be ignored. He's just bland. Like I said, I think that was on purpose. I think all of the bland things are on purpose. Anyway, I would give this about a 7 out of 10. And I can't wait to read the other 20 some odd Bentley Little books because, you know, so far I've been having fun with all of them. And that's that.